It's a real shame that in my 15 videos, I never featured my ET mug as one of the ones I'm drinking out of. We'll have to rectify that next year. Friends, fellow VEDSies, welcome to the final video of VEDS. VEDS? VEDS? VEDS. I'll figure out how to say it one of these days. This is going to be my wrap-up video for the year. Or more accurately, since we are already a ways through October, my post-mortem video. I'm going to be talking about VEDS, how that was for me as a project, both behind and in front of the camera. And then I'm going to be talking about the important stuff, my fellow VEDSies. I think that the best way to talk about VEDS as a project is to look back at the 3 reasons I gave for why I decided to do every other day instead of every day. First reason was my mental health. I'm happy to report that my mental health is much better starting October than it was starting September. It's still rocky, not really at the level of stability that I would like to be ending the year, but everything is a process. Everything is a work in progress. And I think that VEDS' part in that helped a lot. It did not add any additional pressure, and it gave me space to process the other things going on in my life. And that is exactly why I decided to do VEDS. So, reason number 1, resounding success. Reason number 2, I wanted to be able to put a little bit more time and effort to make the videos I want to make, more than just defaulting to the videos that I often make. To say that a little less vaguely, I want to make more videos like Dew from last year or Searching for Stillness, videos that are more focused on the editing and kind of crafting the rhythm and the narrative through that, than me just talking to the camera. Not that I dislike these videos where I'm talking to the camera, just that is kind of the direction I would ultimately like to take my channel. Did this work? No, I don't think that was VEDS' fault. I do actually think that that plan is sound. Cut your workload in half so you can work twice as hard on each video. However, I shouldn't have planned to do that in the same year that I was not able to do a full capacity. Because basically what that does is, if you cut the workload in half but you work twice as hard, is you're back to that original workload. And I did not have the capacity for that original workload. So of course I didn't do that. And so reason number 2 is not a success, but I'm kind of glad, because this was not supposed to be the year for that. This was supposed to be the year about me prioritizing my life and just getting by. So I quickly realized that and pivoted. Reason number 3, I worded this one very vaguely in my first video for no reason at all. I had other things going on in my life. There are a bunch of things week to week that factor into this, but the 2 big things were I had a family vacation in the middle of the month. At the end of the month, I went up to Wisconsin to officiate a friend's wedding. Both of these were trips that I wanted to fully focus on. I didn't want to have to step away from my family to make a VEDS video. And going up to the wedding, my focus was on the wedding. I was able to do a little bit of filming and editing on that trip, but I wasn't gonna let that distract me from my reason going. And VEDS gave me the space to do that. In fact, I kind of went overboard on it with that beach trip, and it's kind of what got me behind for the whole month. But honestly, I don't care. VEDS also got me into the headspace of being fine with that. And ultimately, I'm making the 15 videos and getting them out, so the order of getting them out doesn't bother me that much. So I will take 2 out of 3. That's a success in my book. But I do feel like I have to bring something else up, and that is how limiting VEDS felt. Only making half the videos meant that I didn't have time to respond to videos because I had to get so many out and filmed before I had time to really digest and think about y'all's videos, so really no time for response videos if I also wanted to get to the challenges I wanted to get to, and the videos I already had planned and prepped. And I didn't get to all those videos. There are a lot of videos that just kind of were left. Videos I filmed stuff for. Videos I might be able to make for next year's VEDS. We'll see. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Ultimately, I just always felt behind. I felt like the progress of VEDS, kind of the rhythm that you get into and the narrative that you kind of create throughout the month, felt like everyone else was so far ahead with that, and I was running to catch up. And while I think VEDS was definitely the right choice to make this year, I don't think it's the magic bullet to do VEDS. I don't think it is the plan I will use moving forward. I think I learned things doing VEDS that I will be able to use to strategize and execute videos next year. But, assuming that in 12 months my life is stable and there's nothing like crazy that has happened, I intend to go back to making 30 videos. Once again, fingers crossed, knock on wood. Okay, but enough about me. Let's talk about you! I love VEDS so much, and I love VEDS because of my fellow VEDSies so much more than because of what I end up making. And I really appreciate that this year, it kind of felt like a reset year in some ways, because there was kind of an arc that went over all the VEDSies videos where there was an embracing of simplicity on occasion to allow videos that accommodated the rest of your lives. Those simple videos that you wouldn't necessarily show someone outside of the larger context of VEDS, but really work within the context of VEDS. And I think it's because those smaller videos, those simpler videos, show your personalities in a really cool way. And so while they don't have complex subjects, they work as a small piece that fleshes out the whole. But I also think that while there was kind of this acceptance of simplicity at certain points, there wasn't ever a regression in quality. I think all of you made steps forward, as I think always happens in VEDS, with the type of videos you make. I don't think there was ever a video that just felt meaningless or like filler. It may have felt like that when you made it. I don't want to invalidate that creative experience because I certainly feel that with some of my videos. But as your friend and your fellow VEDSie and your viewer, good stuff all around. Accept it or not, all I'm here to do is tell the truth. But let's go from the broad to the specific, and I will talk about my favorite video from each of my fellow VEDSies, starting with Alicia. Alicia, my favorite video from you came kind of early in the month. It is Life Exists Outside the Frame. Beautifully composed and worded. As always, you were able to explore this idea that I think is a really good reminder when we dive so deeply into a project on the internet, that all the ephemera that we see on the internet is curated, cultivated from a larger context that we don't get to see. I think that you are able to explore that idea and that truth really well. And it kind of created a thematic thread to your last video where you talk about the reason for VEDS being community over the project itself. The specific videos aren't as important as the truth behind them. That truth is the people. The reason you come back to VEDS is because of that larger context that exists outside of the frame, which is also beautifully composed and beautifully worded. I really appreciate how you spoke that out and underlined it. Alicia, thank you for doing VEDS. And on to Graham. Graham, my favorite video from you is the Seattle Underground video. I am fascinated by the Seattle Underground, and since I have not been able to make it up to the Pacific Northwest yet, I really appreciated you filming that. And I feel like you did that with a distillation of what makes a Graham video great. Openness and curiosity to experiences. That experience could be anything from a historical, like site like the Seattle Underground to, one of your gigs, to a ride on a ferry, to exploring, a history of a musician or just a type of media that you enjoy. And I always like that sense of exploration, that sense of curiosity that runs through your videos. It makes it feel like I am going on an adventure with my friend. And I think that's really cool. Graham, thank you for doing VEDS. And on to James. James, my favorite video from you this year is your Holy Misogyny Batman video. not just because I really like the Adam West Batman series, but also because I feel like it is the combination of two types of videos you make in a really cool evolution of what you do. It feels like you're taking the Let's Riff commercials and kind of that type of video where it's more comedy based, and you're pairing it with your I Just Watched or any of your videos where you kind of analyze and review stuff. And you're able to combine them. You're able to take kind of a long look at something and get in depth with it from a review standpoint, but also have all the comedy that you do so well in your videos. And I think it was really cool seeing that combination as a fan of your videos. I've been watching your videos a long time. We have done VEDS together for a long time, and it's always cool to see how you step up the game. I assume that that is a video that was a little bit more intricate and a little bit more involved, and from the looks of things, EJ has bigger fish to fry than just editing videos now, so I'm not sure how often you'd be able to get those videos out in VEDS, but even if it's just a standalone, it was really cool. James, thank you for doing VEDS. On to Jeffrey, and I will probably sound a little bit like a broken record when I talk about this because I have talked about it before in one of my wrap-up videos. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be talking about your mystery case file videos. I've never played these games, but I am so invested in them because you are so good at describing and analyzing them. And so, weirdly enough, every time one of those videos pops up, I'm really excited to find out what the master detective is up to, and more importantly, what you think of it. I feel like I understand these, and that you've kind of told a story, not just describing the story of the game, but kind of the story of the series overall, kind of a meta story. And it's really cool, and I'm really invested in it. Throughout all your videos, you're just so consistent. And I think that the Mystery Case File games are a great example of that. Jeffrey, thank you for doing VEDS. Pip, it was so hard to narrow down to just one video for you because all of them are kind of like, pushing forward and almost getting to the #1 spot. I think this may be my favorite year of you doing VEDS, of your videos in VEDS, because I think that there was a lot of experimentation. And like I said, kind of when I was talking about VEDS more broadly, within that experimentation, we're able to see your personality shine through. But I did have to pick one, and the one I picked was your Levels of Knowing Things video. In your video responding to my videos, you talked about how I worded something one time that made you believe it. It was something like you talk about in this video that you knew, but you didn't retain that knowledge into like actually believing it, but hearing someone else word it helped you do that. That's the same with this video. The way you worded the experience of holding on to something intellectually while not accepting it internally is something that I go through a lot. And I think that you worded it in such a way that helped me understand it better. And it's a video that I watched a lot because I think it's very helpful to hear how you spell that out. Pip, thank you for doing VEDS. And finally, Tessa. Tessa, I think that you think that I'm going to talk about your Friday the 13th video because it's great. It is well made, well executed, and satisfies a lot of my intellectual curiosity. But in what is kind of a surprise to me as well is that that's not the video I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Maggie's 10th birthday video. I love Maggie because when we play D&D together, Maggie is the uninvited but always welcome member of the party, the Tabaxi Bard, as we have called her. But I never knew the story of how you got Maggie, and so as you kind of filled in the backstory, the Maggie lore, if you will, it was really cool hearing you explain it. And I found myself being very grateful to Maggie for showing up when she did and helping out a friend who was not a friend yet, but would become a friend of mine, and doing that thing that only pets can do for a person, being that non-human companion that can show love and affection and that lets us show love and affection too. And it was just a really cool story and one that you told well. Tessa and Maggie, thank you for doing VEDS. VEDS is weird. I think I say that a lot in my wrap-up videos every year, but it is because it fulfills the promise of the internet, that doesn't happen a lot. The promise of the internet that you could connect through technology to people who you would never meet before, that you're able to create these spaces and these communities, is something that doesn't happen. In large part, I think, because corporations find that that is not financially viable, but also because the psychology of being behind a screen makes it very easy to shrink people down into a profile image, into a username. But that's not what we do here. VEDS is a place where creativity and expression are valued, and where friendship and affirmation is prioritized. And that's why I come back to VEDS every year. That's why I love doing it so much. So to everyone involved in VEDS, thank you. Thank you for making this a worthwhile experience every year, in a space on the internet that is always worth visiting. Friends and fellow VEDSies, for now, I will see you when I see you.